What we have to understand first? How many lifespan we have to study in lifespan psychology. And then we have to see in each lifespan how development takes place. Now, prenatal period is the first lifespan which begins with meeting of eggs and sperm, and that lifespan ends with birth of the baby. The period is 38 month or say 38 week or say 9 month. Now second period begins with the birth. It begins with birth of the individual and it ends after 2 years. The period is called as infancy period. And then different psychologist has given some sort of different name to this period, but the general name is infancy period, or you can also call this span of infancy, or one lifespan of infancy. These are synonymous. But Piaget, who has constructed theory of mental development, theory of mind development, theory of cognitive development, has given the same period, the name is given as sensory period. So sensory period is also of 2 years. Sensory development period, it is also of 2 years, and infancy period is also of 2 years. For infancy period is a general name and sensory development is a particular name given by Piaget. So that way you will came across with different name. Freud has given the different name, but Freud is considered this period of 18 months. Then Erikson has given the different name, but he has considered it of 2 years. So this kind of minor differences you will observe in your reading, and do not get confused with these differences. The general name is infancy period. For Piaget it is sensory motor development period, and for Freud it is sensory stage. Now the next period is from 3 years to 9 years. That is called as childhood. 3 years to 9 years. Here you have to keep in mind that I am not saying from 2 to 9. The first period I have said from birth to 2, and then I said 3 to 9, means 1 year I have left in between. Now the third period is from 11 years or 10-11 years to 17-18 years. That period is called as adolescence period. Again here I have left with 1 year. The next period is called as adulthood, which begins from 20 years and ends with the death of the person. Now we will go into detail of this period. Means Now we will try to understand the developmental aspect. Sensory period, prenatal period is divided into 3 stages called as zygotic stage, germination stage and fetus stage. Now we'll study these stages later on in detail. Sensory period is also further divided into 6 sub-stages. We will also study when we will study the Piaget's theory of mental development. Then childhood period is divided into 3 parts. It is not stages, 3 parts. Early childhood, middle childhood and late childhood. Now what is early childhood? Early childhood is say 3 to 5 years. What is middle childhood? Middle childhood is 5 to 7 years. And what is late childhood? Late childhood is 7 years to 9 years. Similarly, adolescence period and adulthood period is also divided into early, middle and late. In adolescence, 10-11 years to 13-14. We called it as early adolescence. 13-14 to 15-16 or particularly 15, we called it as middle adolescence. And 15-16 to 18-19, we called it as late adolescence. It is not fixed period by days. बिल्कुल इस तारीख को शुरू होएगा और उस तारीख को ख़त्म होएगा, ऐसा नहीं है. Because these are the tentative period fixed for certain type of development. And from one period to another period or from one stage to another stage, changes are observed in an individual, and that is why it is separated. Similarly, adulthood period is also divided into say 18 years to 25 years, young adulthood. It is called as young adulthood. It is recently developed in US that this period is distinct from the rest of the adulthood, 18 to 25 years. Then roughly 21 to 40 years is called as early adulthood. Then from 40 years to 60 years, it is called as middle adulthood. And 60 to 65 to till death is called as late adulthood. And aging is the part of the late adulthood. Aging can come in any month or in any year after you cross 60 years of age. But in some individual cases, aging may not come. The person will be fit as an adult. The person will be mentally fit, physically fit, socially fit, spiritually fit, politically fit, and aging will not occur. Now, what is the difference between aging and adulthood? Aging means deterioration of the most of the physical and psychological phenomena. Deterioration, diminishing or reduction. For example, from 60-65 onward, if your age is if your height is somewhat reduced, if your weight is somewhat reduced, if you are bulky and you are becoming thin, means there is a loss of weight, there is a reduction in your height. It happens. That is a signal of aging. Your memory is diminishing. Earlier you were able to memorize very well. Your memory is diminishing. Physically your eyesight is becoming poor. Your hearing sense is reduced. You can't hear properly. So there are many such physical and psychological phenomena. In your adulthood, particularly middle adulthood, you were very confident, daring person, adventurous, and then as you cross the 60, you develop a certain fear about adventure. You develop a certain fear about taking risky decisions. So there is a diminishing psychological phenomena, or there is and there is a diminishing physical growth. That part is called as aging. There are hundreds of the symptoms of aging: physical aging, psychological aging, mental aging, spiritual aging, or you can say social aging. You can put this word. So that way the adulthood and aging is differentiated. Now I have discussed with you almost all the lifespan period. I have not yet discussed about development in each lifespan. That we have to discuss in detail. Now, before going to the book, I am giving you a holistic perspective which is not given in your book.